A very good morning to my dear children. Today, in our online class, we shall be doing preference shares and its type. Preference shares are those shares which give preference shareholders certain preferential rights. Preferential rights are first, dividend. Preference shareholders are entitled to a fixed rate of dividend, and this dividend is payable before any dividend is paid to equity shareholders. And when the company is winding up, capital is repaid to preference shareholders first, and then capital of equity shareholders is paid. Second feature of preference shares is that they do not give any voting rights to preference shareholder. Voting right means that preference shareholders cannot participate in the day-to-day activities or management of the company. Preference shares are basically hybrid of equity shares and debentures. This means that preference shares have certain features of equity shares and certain features of debentures. Next heading is types of preference shares. The first type of preference share is cumulative preference share. When dividend of a particular year is not paid to preference shareholders, then that dividend is carried forward to the next year, and dividend is paid from the profit of the subsequent year. Non-cumulative. If company fails to pay dividend to preference shareholders, then their right to dividend in respect of that particular year is lost forever. Third, participating preference shares. Participating preference shareholders are not entitled to share in the surplus profit. Surplus profit means profit left after meeting all third party expenses. Participating preference shares are those who can participate in the surplus profit of a company, whereas non-participating preference shares are those who cannot participate in the surplus profit of a company. Next, redeemable preference shares. Redeemable preference shares are those whose capital is refunded or returned either on the expiry of specified period or at the option of the company. Irredeemable preference shares are those the capital of which is only repaid at the time of winding up of the company. Next, convertible. Convertible preference shares are those which can be converted into equity shares after a fixed period, whereas non-convertible preference shares are those which cannot be converted into equity shares. With this, the long-term source of finance ends. Now, let us come to the short-term source of capital of a firm. A company can borrow short-term finance from commercial bank in the form of loan, and this can be in the form of cash credit, overdraft, and discounting of bills of exchange. Under cash credit, borrower is allowed to borrow up to specified limit, and amount is withdrawn in installment. Interest is charged on the amount actually withdrawn and not on the amount sanctioned by the bank. To get credit from commercial bank, a borrower is required to offer a security. Next, overdraft. Overdraft facility is generally provided to businessmen having current account. This simply means that a businessman can withdraw money in excess of its current account. For example, if a businessman has 30,000 in his current account, he can withdraw amount which is over and above 30,000. Next, discounting of bills of exchange. Bills of exchange, through bills of exchange, cash can be obtained from bank. The person can give bills of exchange to the bank and in return get cash. However, bank generally charges some expense. However, holder of the instrument remains liable to the bank if the instrument is dishonored. Thank you. With this, the chapter ends.